Imagine discovering that every monster you ever wrote about was waiting for you in a secret city beyond the human world. The story begins in Mexico, in 1866. A young girl named Frankelda is sitting in a garden with her mother. As they admire a painting together, Frankelda says it looks so perfect that it feels more real than fantasy. Her mother smiles. Then she shares something Frankelda will never forget. If a person truly believes in their talent and never gives up on it, a dream can become reality. She even tells Frankelda that one day, the stories she writes will come to life. People will read them, and they will love them. But moments later, everything changes. Her mother suddenly starts coughing. The coughing grows worse and worse. Terrified, Frankelda runs to get help, but she is too late. Her mother dies. Heartbroken, Frankelda cannot bear to watch the burial. Instead, she runs away and hides beneath a tree. There, she pulls out her notebook and pen and starts writing. Not long after, her grandmother finds her. She scolds her, then takes her home. From that day on, Frankelda's life becomes completely different. Living with her grandmother is nothing like living with her mother. She spends her days cleaning, cooking, and doing chores around the house. Because if she doesn't, her grandmother becomes angry. Even so, Frankelda never gives up on her dream. Whenever she finds a free moment, she writes. Meanwhile, far away in the realm of horror, Prince Hernil is preparing to attend a celebration hosted by his parents, King Don and Queen Coco. But instead of joining the event, Hernil makes a different choice. He secretly climbs a magical vine, then heads toward the gateway connecting his world to the human world. At the same time, Frankelda is sharing one of her stories with a group of children. The story is about a giant monster living in a terrifying city. But instead of being impressed, the children laugh at her. They call her a bad writer and tell her nobody will ever believe such a strange story. Only one boy supports her. His name is Gabby. He tells Frankelda that when they grow up, he will convince his father, who owns a publishing company, to publish her stories. But the cruel comments still hurt. Frankelda asks Gabby to leave her alone. Then she begins to cry. And that's when something unexpected happens. Prince Hernil appears. He tells her that he heard the story, and he loved it. The moment Frankelda sees him, she panics. His appearance is unlike anything she has ever seen. She believes he is a monster, and immediately starts screaming. Later, she tells her grandmother what happened, but her grandmother refuses to believe her. Instead, she scolds Frankelda for staying outside too long. Meanwhile, Hernil returns to the realm of horror. By the time he arrives, his parents already know where he went. King Don is furious, because visiting the human world without permission is strictly forbidden. But before the argument can continue, a powerful earthquake shakes the entire kingdom. At that moment, a writer named Brutus watches the palace from a distance, and he believes he knows the reason. According to him, everything happening to the kingdom is King Don's fault. Back inside the palace, Hernil explains why he went to Earth. He says he wanted to learn what humans fear, so they could create better nightmares. That's when we learn an important truth. The rulers of the realm of horror, along with Brutus, are responsible for creating human nightmares. But over the years, Brutus has lost his talent. He can no longer write frightening stories like he once did. And because of that, the realm of horror has started falling apart. The earthquakes are becoming more frequent. Even so, King Don still refuses to allow anyone to visit Earth, because he fears it could damage the balance between the two worlds. Eventually, Hernil promises his parents that he will not return to the human world again, unless it becomes absolutely necessary. A short time later, a guard named Cardi enters the room. He announces that Brutus wants to speak with the royal family. When Brutus arrives, he once again suggests visiting Earth to study human fears. But his intention seems suspicious. In reality, he wants to know whether Hernil was punished for breaking the rules. King Don immediately seizes him. Then he delivers a clear warning. Anyone who tries to visit the human world will face the same punishment as Hernil. But then, the situation becomes even worse. King Don suddenly grows weaker. Seeing this, Brutus claims the king's condition will continue to worsen unless they find a way to frighten humans again. He then tells an ancient story. Long ago, a powerful creature named Ankara tried to invade the human world. The only one who managed to stop her was Tiamat. After Ankara's death, two races were born from her remains. The feathered race, which includes King Don and Queen Coco, and the spider race, which includes Brutus and the leaders of the 7 clans. Brutus explains that no one is strong enough anymore to fully appear in the human world like they once could. Hernil stays silent, because when he secretly visited Earth, He appeared there in his normal form. Meanwhile, back in the human world, Frankelda is sharing another one of her stories. This time, she is reading it to the elderly women in her neighborhood. At first, they are fascinated by her tale, but then her grandmother starts mocking her. She tells everyone that Frankelda has an overactive imagination, and that she is always making up strange stories. She even warns her not to tell those stories in public. Otherwise, people might think she is crazy and avoid her. The words cut deep. Frankelda feels more alone than ever, because the only person who truly understood her was her mother, and now she is gone. 10 years pass, and during that time, the realm of horror continues to fall apart. The earthquakes become stronger, buildings collapse, and the nightmares written by Brutus are no longer frightening. In fact, many of them sound more like jokes than nightmares. The kingdom keeps weakening, and the weakest citizens begin to die. Seeing the crisis grow worse, Hernil decides he can no longer sit back and do nothing. Then he remembers the human girl he met years ago, the girl who wrote horror stories. So he goes to speak with the king and queen. Brutus happens to be there as well. Once again, Hernil proposes the same idea. He wants permission to visit the human world. At first, King Don refuses, but after Brutus leaves, Hernil explains his full plan. He wants to find a human writer he knows, someone who understands fear, someone who can help them learn what terrifies people today. That knowledge could help them create nightmares once again. This time, the king and queen agree, but only on one condition. He cannot stay in the human world for long. Meanwhile, Frankelda prepares to meet Gabby's father. Gabby encourages her the entire way. He is certain his father will be impressed by her stories, and it is becoming obvious that Gabby cares deeply about her. He is just too nervous to say it. Not long after, Frankelda finally meets the publisher. At first, he reads her work in silence. Then his expression suddenly changes. He tells her that a young woman should not be writing stories like these. According to him, they will ruin her reputation. He even claims that no man will ever want to marry her. Then he insults her writing, calling it terrible, calling it nonsense. Frankelda is devastated. Heartbroken, she goes to her mother's grave, and there, she breaks down in tears. That's when Hernil appears again. He tells her something nobody else ever has. He says she is the greatest horror writer he has ever met. He even admits that he still remembers the story she told as a child, and he has never forgotten it. Then he makes her an offer that could change her life forever. He asks her to become a nightmare writer in the realm of horror. Frankelda can hardly believe it. For the first time in years, someone truly believes in her talent. So she accepts, and chooses a new name for herself. From now on, she will be known as Frankelda. She boldly declares that she will create terrifying nightmares. Nightmares powerful enough to haunt anyone who experiences them. The moment Hernil touches her, something incredible happens. Her spirit leaves her body. Hernil explains that she is now ready to enter the realm of horror. Frankelda hesitates, then asks what will happen if she ever wants to return home. Hernil reassures her, to everyone in the human world, it will feel as if she was only asleep. Meanwhile, Brutus secretly witnesses everything and immediately realizes what is happening. Frankelda has been brought there to replace him. The thought humiliates him, a human taking his place. His anger quickly turns into a desire for revenge. So he gathers the leaders of the 7 clans and tries to turn them against the king, but his plan fails. The clan leaders remind him that if the king brought in a human, it was only to save the kingdom. Then they ask him a simple question. When was the last time he wrote a nightmare that was actually frightening? Brutus has no answer. For the first time, he is completely speechless. Desperate, he tries to write something scary, but nothing comes. Not a single idea. Later, he goes to meet Hernil and Frankelda. After reading her stories, he realizes she is genuinely talented, but instead of admitting it, he attacks her confidence. He tells her that her writing is awful, and that she still has a lot to learn. The criticism hits Frankelda hard. She starts questioning herself. Maybe she really is a failure. Maybe Hernil and Gabby were only being kind, but Hernil refuses to let her lose hope. He takes her to the palace library, his favorite place in the kingdom. There, surrounded by countless stories, the two grow closer, and it becomes increasingly clear that Hernil is falling in love with her. The next day, Hernil takes Frankelda on a tour through the realm of horror. As they spend more time together, they grow closer than ever. Little by little, their feelings continue to grow. That happiness inspires Frankelda to write even more. Soon, she reads her newest story to Hernil, and just like every time before, he is amazed by her talent. Meanwhile, Brutus keeps trying to create terrifying nightmares, but no matter what he does, he continues to fail. One day, Hernil suggests that Frankelda share her ideas with King Don and Queen Coco. He explains that, as a human, she cannot officially become the kingdom's nightmare rider. Only someone from the realm of horror can hold that position. At first, Frankelda is excited. She loves the idea of helping the king and queen, so she agrees to let Hernil take her book. But then Brutus suddenly appears. He thanks her, and casually reveals that he will be the one using her ideas. According to him, her stories will help the kingdom thrive again. The moment Frankelda hears that, her heart sinks. She believes Hernil tricked her from the beginning. Feeling betrayed, she refuses to hand over the book. Then she calls Hernil a liar. Overwhelmed with emotion, she breaks down in tears, and refuses to speak to him. Afterward, Hernil confronts Brutus, demanding a way to fix the damage he caused. But Brutus already has a plan. He suggests creating a nightmare for Frankelda. If she becomes frightened enough, she may agree to cooperate. And fortunately, Hernil falls for the idea. What he doesn't realize is that Brutus has a hidden motive. He plans to enter Frankelda's mind through her nightmares. That way, he can steal all of her terrifying ideas. And that's exactly what happens. Frankelda is forced to relive her worst fears. At the same time, Brutus steals her imagination, then uses it to create a terrifying new story. Soon after, he summons the leaders of the 7 clans. He presents the story as his own, then asks them to join him in overthrowing the king. This time, they agree. Not long later, a coup sweeps across the kingdom. Frankelda and Timot are captured and imprisoned. King Don and Queen Coco are imprisoned as well. Meanwhile, Hernil searches everywhere for Frankelda. He wants to apologize and make things right. At the same time, a fierce battle erupts between Cardi's forces and the clan leaders. But things quickly take a dark turn. The leaders of the magic clan cast a spell on Cardi, stripping away his free will and forcing him to serve their cause. Meanwhile, Brutus and the 7 clans begin creating the most terrifying nightmares imaginable. Through those nightmares, they plan to control humanity itself. Meanwhile, Hernil travels to the human world. He believes Frankelda may have returned home, but when he cannot find her there, he rushes back to the realm of horror. Eventually, he finds Frankelda, and finally learns the truth. Brutus and the 7 clans have taken control of the kingdom. Worse still, they are preparing to invade the human world. Realizing that both worlds are in danger, Frankelda and Hernil begin searching for a solution. Then Frankelda comes up with a plan. She writes a new nightmare, and asks Hernil to secretly replace Brutus's nightmare with hers. Hernil succeeds. And when Brutus experiences the nightmare, he is forced to face his greatest fears. Even then, he refuses to surrender. Desperate, he attacks Frankelda, but Hernil jumps in front of her and takes the blow himself. Moments later, his spirit leaves his body, yet even in that state, he stays by Frankelda's side. He sings to her, encouraging her to wake up and finish the nightmare. Finally, she does. Frankelda completes the story. The nightmare overwhelms Brutus and destroys him along with his followers. At last, the kingdom is saved, but the victory comes with a terrible cost. Hernil collapses, then tells Frankelda that he is dying. The wound was simply too severe. His body died before his spirit left it, which means he can never return. Soon, his spirit will disappear into the darkness forever. Frankelda is devastated. Refusing to lose him, she begins writing once more. This time, she writes that the prince's spirit now lives inside her book. And just as her mother once promised, her words become reality. Hernil survives, but only within the pages of the book. Meanwhile, Gabby carries Frankelda's body back to her home. From that day forward, Frankelda lives between 2 worlds, the human world and the realm of horror. And that's where today's story comes to an end.